The Chicago Bears didn't just dip their toes into the offseason pool. They dove headfirst with the singular goal of building around Caleb Williams. After a rookie season that showcased flashes of potential mixed with the all-too-common growing pains of an NFL newcomer, the Bears committed to eliminating excuses and building a support system worthy of a franchise quarterback. This offseason was defined by a clear, consistent strategy: fortify the offensive infrastructure from top to bottom. It started with the hiring of a premier offensive coordinator, widely regarded as one of the most sought-after minds in football over the past few seasons. The arrival of this new leadership brought along a revamped coaching staff and philosophy designed to foster quarterback development and elevate schematic efficiency. Offensive line upgrades became an immediate priority. The front office brought in proven talent, headlined by a four-time Super Bowl champion and all-pro interior lineman who previously protected two generational quarterbacks. Additions like Jonah and Drew Dalman were not just about raw talent, they were schematic fits with leadership qualities and proven durability. At tight end, depth was bolstered by acquiring veteran help and investing in youth with high upside. The backfield remains headlined by an explosive but often underappreciated weapon, yet fans are already murmuring about whether the team could have done more by drafting a top-tier running back. Still, the trade-off led to the acquisition of a dynamic rookie wide receiver with game-breaking potential. This influx of offensive weapons now surrounds Williams with an enviable collection of playmakers. The core already included names like DJ Moore and Darnell Wright, but now boasts more depth and speed across the board. From wide receiver Luther Burden III to versatile tight ends and rising contributors like Rome Odunze and KT, the Bears may have built one of the most talented units in recent franchise history. If there's a question mark left unaddressed, it's likely at left tackle, where a few options remain in competition. Still, this roster overhaul should provide Williams with both protection and production opportunities. By all accounts, the Bears have built a functional and potentially dangerous offense tailored to unlock the potential of their young signal caller. With this fortified roster, expectations have naturally grown. The second year is often the turning point for young quarterbacks, and for Caleb Williams that timeline feels fair, especially considering the tools he now has at his disposal. Based on context and projections, several key statistical benchmarks could serve as indicators of legitimate progress. Breaking the 4,000-yard barrier. The Bears have long endured a painful truth. They remain the only franchise in the league never to field a 4,000-yard passer in a single season. The closest was Eric Kramer's 3,138 yards, a record that has shockingly stood for decades. In his rookie campaign, Williams threw for 3,141 yards despite a porous offensive line, scheme issues, and the natural learning curve of a first-year pro. With better weapons, improved protection, and another year of experience, that record should fall. Even if he doesn't cross 4,000 yards, eclipsing 3,138 should be the baseline target. The upgrades across the board make this goal not just realistic, but expected. Improving completion percentage. Williams ended last year with a completion rate of 62.5%. While respectable for a rookie in a turbulent environment, it fell short of the accuracy he consistently demonstrated in college. In many respects, that number is more reflective of systemic and mechanical issues than natural ability. Footwork is one area that's received heavy off-season attention. Several errant throws stemmed from poor base mechanics and timing inconsistencies. Equally important was the lack of clean offensive spacing. At times, receivers occupied the same zone on the field, leading to unnecessary congestion and disrupted progressions. Under a new offensive mind, and with more dynamic separation downfield, Williams should comfortably improve this number. A 65.5% completion rate, or even higher, is well within reach and would signify a leap in processing and rhythm. Aggressive playmaking, more touchdowns, acceptable risk. Last season, Williams posted a 20-6 touchdown-to-interception ratio. The 6 interceptions were encouraging, especially for a rookie, but that stat came at a cost. The previous regime leaned heavily into conservative play calling, often prioritizing ball security over aggression. That approach may have stunted offensive explosiveness. A modest uptick in interceptions is acceptable if it accompanies more touchdowns and big plays. A 25-11 ratio, 25 touchdowns and 11 picks, would represent an ideal balance between risk and reward. Great quarterbacks push the envelope, and with new personnel and a system built to stretch the field, Williams should be encouraged to take more calculated risks. Reducing sack totals. The drive killers. No stat was more alarming than the 68 sacks Caleb Williams took last season, by far the most in the NFL. To put that in context, the second highest sack total belonged to C.J. Stroud at 52, a difference of nearly a sack per game. And while some of that blame rests with the offensive line, Williams' playstyle and pocket awareness were also contributing factors. The target for 2025? A reduction to 43 or fewer sacks. That would average out to about 2.5 sacks per game, a drastic but reasonable improvement. Better line play, smarter pocket movement, and quicker reads should all help bring this number down. Eliminating drive-killing negative plays will be key to sustaining offensive momentum and avoiding unnecessary third and longs. Reclaiming the red zone with his legs. Surprisingly, Williams failed to score a single rushing touchdown last season, despite racking up nearly 500 rushing yards. That's almost statistically improbable given his collegiate history, where he amassed 27 rushing touchdowns in 3 years. In the NFL, even one rushing score would have changed some of the narrative around his red zone productivity. The Bears must look to reintroduce quarterback mobility inside the 10-yard line. Whether it's via designed runs, scrambles, or broken plays, Williams has the ability to score with his legs. Setting a goal of at least 3 rushing touchdowns in 2025 is modest, but critical to rounding out his red zone threat profile. Expectations in Chicago are no longer abstract. The front office has invested heavily, both in personnel and staff, to create a nurturing environment for their quarterback. Now comes the difficult part, translating talent into victories. The Bears don't just want to be better. They want to be competitive in a stacked NFC North, and that will require Caleb Williams to elevate his game in more ways than just the box score, leadership, game management, clutch performances. These intangibles are what separates good quarterbacks from great ones. But the numbers do matter too. If Williams breaks the franchise passing record, throws for 25 touchdowns, improves accuracy, and drops his sack total significantly, it will show growth in every phase of quarterbacking. Some areas still need monitoring. The running back depth, while serviceable, lacks elite explosiveness. Left tackle remains unsettled. And defensively, the team must continue to find ways to complement its offense with stops and turnovers. Yet for the first time in a long while, the Bears enter a season with legitimate optimism at the quarterback position and the infrastructure to support it. Caleb Williams doesn't need to be perfect in year 2. He needs to be decisive, confident, and improved across the board. If he meets even half of the benchmarks laid out this offseason, Chicago might finally be entering an era where the quarterback isn't the question, but the answer.